Ever feel like the future's getting kind of like claustrophobic?
Sounds probably okay.
Yeah, like all the potential ways things could go, it's like narrowing down or something.
Yeah, yeah.
When you think about the future, the possibilities are actually shrinking.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, like we're diving into this idea called a cone of ideology. And this cone of ideology thing you sent over, it really gets at that. So we're diving into that today. This idea that there's this cone, and it's supposed to, like, I don't know, map out all the different ways humanity could go,
Yeah.
right? And you can imagine it kind of like an ice cream cone,
Yeah.
but instead of like scoops of ice cream,
Right.
it's packed with every potential future that humanity could have.
Okay.
And some folks are saying this cone of possibilities is kind of getting squeezed.
Yeah, I can see that.
So let's dig into why that might be, and think about, do we like where this is headed?
Yeah, I think what's really cool about this visualization of the cone, this cone of possibilities,
Yeah.
is that it gets at just the sheer scale of different ways things could go. Like every point on that cone, every like angle is a potential future.
So ideally, best case scenario, this cone is like wide open, right?
Absolutely.
Just like a massive, ice cream cone. Ready to hold every flavor of the future, right? Like, I don't know, talking lobsters, self-folding laundry, whatever, it's all in there. But the thing that has me kind of worried, and I think you too, is are we like accidentally making the cone smaller?
Yeah.
Closing off possibilities before we even know what they are?
Yeah, yeah, we're putting up fences, right, within this vast cone of potential. Like,
Okay.
ideally, it's overflowing with crazy new inventions, with like
Yeah.
art movements we can't even imagine yet, ways of like organizing society that we haven't even dreamt up yet.
It's funny because it's like when you're a kid and literally anything feels possible. Like you could be an astronaut or a musician.
Yeah, rock star. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you can dream up.
Exactly. There's no limits, right?
And then we grow up and
Yeah, and then reality sets in.
yeah, those possibilities, they start hitting these roadblocks, right? Whether it's social norms or just the limits of the technology we have right now, even sometimes just our own beliefs.
Yeah, our own limited thinking.
Can cast like shadows on this cone.
Totally.
And restrict what we can actually achieve.
Limiting those possibilities. And I think one of the biggest fences that we're putting up right now is this emphasis on safety, especially with AI.
And look, I'm not saying safety's not important. Nobody wants a rogue AI taking over, but it gets kind of tricky when you think about all the times in history where people tried to play it too safe and it backfired.
Well,
they missed out on something huge.
Well, I mean, think about Galileo. I mean, he was practically considered a heretic for saying, hey, maybe the Earth isn't the center of the universe. People couldn't even wrap their heads around it. And look where we are now. Because he was brave enough to say, maybe what we think is safe and true. Maybe there's more.
Okay, but then you add in something like AI.
Oh, yeah.
Artificial intelligence.
That changes things.
And suddenly it's like, whoa, depending on how we develop this,
Yeah.
AI could either blow those shadows away or it could make them even darker.
It's true. It has the potential to go either way.
Right.
And that's, I think, what makes this so fascinating.
Yeah.
Because AI really could unlock just incredible things.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine completely new art forms, cultures that are unlike anything we've ever seen before, solutions to problems we don't even know we have yet.
Wow.
Right? It really could blow the cone wide open.
So it could even help us understand, like, parts of ourselves we didn't even know were there.
Yeah, potentially. And that's an exciting, but also, kind of a daunting thought.
Yeah. So focused on making sure AI is safe that maybe we're stopping it from being as incredible as it could be because we're basically handing AI the keys to creation, right? Like it's the new tool for, I don't know, bringing ideas to life.
Oh, it's beyond pen and paper now. It's like, we're talking about AI composing symphonies, AI designing buildings, AI even writing code that's pushing the boundaries of what we thought computers could do. But if we tell those AIs, you can only create within these very narrow parameters. Because that's safe, what do we get?
We end up with AI elevator music.
Exactly.
Technically fine, but no soul. And look, I like some smooth jazz in an elevator as much as the next person.
Right.
But I don't want all music to sound like that.
No, exactly. And I think what's scary is that those limitations, even if they're well-intentioned, they can have this ripple effect on how we think and create.
Right.
Think about, for example, AI-generated music.
Okay. Right.
There's this program called AIVA. It composes classical music.
Yeah.
Pieces that are good enough to be mistaken for, like, human composers.
Wow.
Now imagine if that program was restricted from using, say, certain harmonies or
Oh.
rhythms because someone decided those were, I don't know, too radical or too different.
So it's like telling Beethoven he can't use minor chords anymore.
Exactly.
What happens to pushing creative boundaries then?
Exactly. That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so like how would this actually play out though? Give me an example. Like what would it actually look like to have those limitations shaping, what we're seeing and hearing and experiencing?
So imagine like you're an artist,
Yeah.
okay, and you want to make like this really intense piece of music
Okay.
about grief,
Yeah.
really explore the depths of it.
Yeah.
And you're using AI to help you create this music. But the AI, it's been trained to be safe,
Right.
right? So it's been trained on this data set, and they've taken out anything that's like too sad, too intense.
So you end up with like the emotional equivalent of easy listening.
Exactly. Instead of this like raw, powerful piece of music that helps you really feel and process grief,
Right.
you get something that's kind of sanitized. And it's not just
Mhm.
about art or music, right?
Right.
If we're not careful, the limitations that we program into AI, they become our limitations.
It's almost like instead of AI helping us expand, it's almost like it boxes us in even more.
That's the danger, yeah.
Mhm.
And it could shape everything from scientific discovery to the way we think as a society.
So instead of opening up those possibilities, it's almost like we're just making everything really bland and predictable.
It's a real concern because if all we ever see are these kind of safe, pre-approved outputs from AI,
Yeah,
how do we even begin to imagine what else is possible?
it's true. It's almost like you need that contrast to even know that there's something more out there.
Exactly.
I was thinking about, some people are using AI to make those historical simulations. Like you can actually experience different points in history.
Right.
But what if those simulations are also being curated for safety?
That's exactly where my mind went too, because think about it. If you're only getting the AI-approved version of history,
We end up with a very, shall we say, selective understanding of the past.
it'd be like reading a history book that just completely skips over all the bad parts,
Mhm.
all the, the revolutions, the wars, the social upheaval.
The stuff that makes us really uncomfortable to think about, but is also like essential to understanding why things are the way they are.
Right, exactly, because it's like you don't want to relive all the bad stuff. Nobody wants that.
Right.
But at the same time, if we don't learn from those mistakes, if we don't understand the complexities of the past,
Yeah.
how can we even try to create a better future?
This is giving me a lot to think about here.
Yeah.
Because we started off talking about, how AI could really help unlock creativity,
Right.
but it sounds like it could also lock us down even tighter.
Yeah, it's a fine line.
Yeah.
And it's something we have to be very aware of as we develop these technologies.
Basically.
Think of, for example, a writer using an AI assistant,
Okay.
and they want to write a story about something really challenging, something that pushes the boundaries, but the AI flags it as too risky,
Oh, interesting.
too controversial, too whatever. Frustrating, right?
Yeah. I mean, especially if that same AI is filtering everything, like art, music, architecture, you name it.
Exactly.
What happens to like our understanding of the full human experience?
Right.
Even the parts that make us a little uncomfortable. And I feel like that's kind of the danger here with these AI limitations. We're so focused on making everything safe and inoffensive that we end up with this future that's like intellectual and emotionally sterile. Like nobody's willing to have the hard conversations anymore. Art has no edge. History's been like photoshopped. It's giving me like dystopian novel vibes. You know those stories where everyone dresses the same and eats the same flavorless food because it's like efficient and safe.
Yeah. And that's what's so tricky about it because it happens so gradually. Like we might not even realize those walls are closing in until it's too late. We're so busy making sure AI doesn't hurt us that we don't realize it stopped us from feeling anything.
Mm.
What if those limitations extend beyond just our creative pursuits?
Yeah, it's like we're almost trading one set of limitations
Right.
for another.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways,
Yeah.
those algorithmic limitations that you're talking about,
Yeah.
they might be even more kind of insidious in a way because they can be invisible, right? We might not even realize what we're missing.
Oh, wow.
What perspectives are being kind of subtly filtered out of our reality.
And it makes you think, right? So we talked about AI-generated art maybe being sanitized.
Yeah.
But what happens when those algorithms are making decisions about, like, the news we read or the information that we consume every day?
Well, that's a concerning thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is because, I mean, imagine a world where like you've got this constant surveillance by AI, right?
Right.
It's like Big Brother, but instead of humans watching you, it's these algorithms making decisions.
Right.
Or what about like autonomous weapons making life or death decisions
Oh, wow.
based on code that, maybe nobody fully understands?
It's like we're on the slippery slope
Yeah.
where it's like, how do we make sure that AI is empowering us and
Right.
not limiting us?
That's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is, I think, responsible development is going to be absolutely crucial here. We
Right.
have to be so careful about the choices that we make today with AI
Yeah.
because they really are going to determine kind of what this cone of ideology looks like in the future,
Right.
for better or for worse.
Okay, so what do? Do we just like throw our hands up and say, all right, bring on the bland dystopia? Or is there a way to, I don't know, hit the brakes on this runaway train of safety protocols?
I don't think it's about getting rid of safety altogether,
Right.
but it's about having like a more nuanced conversation about what we even mean by safe and who gets to decide.
Because safe for one person could be totally stifling for someone else, right?
Exactly. And right now, the people deciding what's safe are basically like the tech companies, the
Yeah.
policymakers.
The people with the power, not necessarily the people with the most diverse lived experiences.
Right. What we need is to bring more voices to the table. Artists, ethicists, everyday people, people from different backgrounds, different walks of life.
So more cooks in the kitchen, essentially. Which I get, it's a nice idea, but like, how do you actually do that? How do you shift the balance of power when it comes to something as technical and complex as AI?
Well, I mean, I think awareness is a great first step,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're doing right now, right? Just by having this conversation.
Right. Right.
We have to be aware of the potential pitfalls
Yeah.
so that we can actually kind of, take steps to avoid them.
Knowledge is power, as
Yeah.
they say. But then, like, what comes after the awareness?
Well, I think, for me, it starts with recognizing that this isn't just a tech issue. This is a human issue.
Right.
And it starts with asking ourselves the tough questions. Like, what are we willing to sacrifice in the name of safety?
Yeah. And are we potentially sacrificing the very things that make us human? Like, our creativity, our ability to think critically, to connect with each other on a deep level. It's like we're picking between like two futures, right?
Yeah.
One where everything is totally safe and predictable, but also kind of soulless.
Right.
And then the other path where, yeah, there's some risk, but there's also the potential for like real wonder and beauty and all those messy human things.
One of the most important things is going to be prioritizing, like individual choice and freedom of expression.
Okay.
Right. Just because AI can censor something
Yeah.
doesn't mean it should.
Right.
We have to make sure that there are ways to kind of bypass those filters, to explore the edges of that cone, even if it makes some people uncomfortable.
I love that. So it's about like giving individuals the power to choose what they want to explore, what ideas they want to engage with,
Yeah.
even if those ideas are considered like outside of the mainstream or whatever.
And I think the real key is finding the balance, right? We can't just like throw caution to the wind, but we also can't let fear shut down everything, because the amazing thing about AI is that it's not some like pre-programmed destiny. It really does reflect the choices that we're making right now. Instead of this all-powerful being that's calling the shots, what if we thought of it more like, I don't know, a collaborator, like
Yeah.
our partner in all this?
Okay. I like that. So less AI overlords, more like AI muse.
Exactly.
That already feels way more fun, a lot less like we're about to get stuck in a digital cage.
Yes. It's about embracing what I like to call kind of a maximalist approach.
Okay.
Instead of looking for, the one right answer or the one safe path forward, we should be encouraging a multitude of approaches, a multitude of solutions.
It's almost like instead of looking for one flavor of ice cream, it's like, no, let's have the whole buffet.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I like the way you think.
We need to embrace the unknown, embrace the diverse, embrace even the potentially uncomfortable,
Yeah.
because those are the spaces where real innovation often occurs,
It's true. It's like, and I think about this too, it's like in our culture, there's so much emphasis on like avoiding failure
Right.
that it's like, well, but what if you're so afraid of making a mistake
Yeah,
that you never actually discover something truly groundbreaking?
absolutely. And progress often requires taking risks. Yeah. It requires pushing boundaries and yes, even failing sometimes.
But if we're so focused on kind of playing it safe, we're never going to unlock that true potential of AI.
Right.
Or that full spectrum of human ingenuity that that expansive cone of ideology represents.
Yeah, and it's like we're not even just building like one bridge to the future.
Right.
We're building like this whole network of paths.
Yeah.
And they all lead to different possibilities.
Yeah, each one is kind of uncertain,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
We don't know exactly where they're going to lead.
Right.
Which is kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's like those old explorers venturing out into uncharted territory.
Right, we're navigating the frontiers of AI.
Yeah.
Right now, trying to figure out what it all means for us as humans.
And those explorers, they didn't always find what they were looking for, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Sometimes they stumbled on a whole continent.
Right.
Other times they ran into, challenges they could never have even imagined.
For sure.
But it's like their journeys, those explorations, they changed the world. Right?
Absolutely. They did.
Yeah, it expanded our understanding of what was even possible.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so important to remember.
Right.
It's about, like you said, embracing the unknown.
Yeah.
Right, like that maximalism we were talking about.
Yes.
It's not about trying to, control every single outcome.
Right.
It's about creating an environment where, 1,000 different futures can kind of blossom.
Yeah. Even if some of them seem a little weird at first.
Right, exactly. Even if they make us a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because that's where the interesting stuff happens.
That's where the good stuff is.
Yeah. AI tools that can help artists do totally new things, help writers tell better stories, musicians make music we haven't even imagined.
So it's not about one rigid path. It's like we're aiming for this whole tapestry of possibilities.
The future that's bursting with creativity.
Yeah.
With crazy new inventions, with new ways of understanding ourselves and the universe.
Right. And it makes you think, if we can approach AI thoughtfully,
yeah,
could we actually expand that cone of ideology, fill it with so many possibilities that it wouldn't even fit in our hands?
Now that's a future worth striving for.
Yeah.
I think one that's just overflowing with new ideas, with different solutions that we haven't even imagined yet.
Yeah.
And the recognition that human ingenuity paired with AI, it can create truly remarkable things. We got to start, I think, with expecting more from the people who are actually building these systems. We need to push for transparency. How are these AI models even trained? What data are they using? What limitations are being built in? We need to know.
So no more black boxes.
Right. We need to see the blueprints.
Yeah. But it can't just be about, playing defense, right? We also need to be out there, building the future we want to see.
Absolutely. And that means supporting the artists and the thinkers who are already out there, pushing the boundaries with AI.
Right.
Right. And it means talking about the ethics of all this, really thinking about these questions. And it means making sure that AI is being used in a way that benefits everybody, not just a select few.
I mean, that's a powerful message, right? We're at this really unique moment in time where we have the chance to actually shape the future of AI. But it's going to take all of us, artists, coders, policymakers, everyday people, to make that happen.
It's about getting back to that sense of wonder that we all felt when we first started thinking about AI, right? Remembering that the future's not fixed. It's something we build together, one line of code, one painting, one song at a time.
I love that. So for everyone listening, what's the thing you hope they take away from all of this?
I think the big thing is this isn't about choosing between a future that's safe or a future that's innovative, right? It's about recognizing that we can have both. We can use these amazing tools to solve problems and push the boundaries of what's possible.
Because a world without risk might seem appealing at first, but ultimately it's a world without joy, without surprise, without the very things that make us human. And if AI really is the new tool of creation, then let's make sure we're creating something brave and bold and surprising.
Well said.
Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive into this whole cone of ideology.
The future isn't preordained. It's a blank page waiting for us to fill it with our most ambitious dreams, our choices, our innovations, our belief in ourselves.
Yeah.
That's what's going to shape the future.
And that is a wrap on today's episode. But, the conversation doesn't have to end here, right?
Of course not.
We would love to hear your thoughts. What kind of future do you imagine? Head over to our social media pages and share your insights. Until next time, stay curious.